Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into Isaiah chapter 8.
It's quite a chapter.
Yeah, we're looking at, the prophecies, the warnings, and the really stark choices it presents.
Absolutely. It's packed with contrasts, really forces you to think about where you put your trust, doesn't it?
Okay, so let's get into it. It kicks off with a very specific, almost physical command, right?
Yeah, the prophet's told, get a large scroll, use just an ordinary pen or stylus, nothing fancy.
And write this name, Maher-shalal-Hash-Baz.
Right. And not in secret either. He has to call witnesses, reliable ones like Uriah the priest and Zechariah.
So everyone knows this message is real and when it was given.
Precisely. And that name, Maher-shalal-Hash-Baz, it's basically a headline. Quick to the plunder, swift to the spoil. It is the prophecy in a way.
But then it gets even more specific, tied to a person.
Exactly. The prophetess conceives, has a son, and he's named Maher-shalal-Hash-Baz.
And here's the liquor. The timing is linked to him. Before this little boy can even say daddy or mommy.
Which isn't very long at all.
Right. Before that happens, the wealth of Damascus and the plunder of Samaria, the capitals of Israel's enemies at the time, they'll be hauled off by the king of Assyria.
It's an incredibly near-term, verifiable sign. You can literally watch the child grow and know the clock is ticking. It grounds this divine word in, well, everyday human life.
And the chapter is very clear about why this judgment is coming down,
Oh, yeah. It says the people rejected the gently flowing waters of Shiloah.
which often represents God's quiet, steady provision or presence.
That's a common understanding, yeah.
Yeah.
They rejected that quiet stream, and instead, they actually cheered for their enemies, Rezin and Pekah, the son of Remaliah.
So reject the gentle stream, get the raging flood.
That's exactly the imagery. The judgment comes as the mighty floodwaters of the river, explicitly the king of Assyria in all his power.
And it's not just a border skirmish. This flood sweeps into Judah.
Right up to the neck, it says, covering the land. But even then, notice the address. O Emmanuel.
God with us, even amidst the flood.
And then, speaking of God being with them, the focus suddenly zooms out to the surrounding nations.
Yeah, it's like a message to them. Go ahead, raise your war cry, get ready for battle.
But you'll be shattered. Make your plans, strategize all you want.
It won't stand. It'll fail.
And the reason given is just immense, isn't it? Why will these powerful nations fail?
For God is with us, Emmanuel. It links right back.
It's the ultimate game changer. That presence, even when his own people are facing judgment, is what ultimately defeats opposing forces.
Okay, and then the warning gets really direct, aimed at the people, aimed at, well, you listening.
Right. Don't go along with how everyone else is thinking. Don't call something a conspiracy just because they do.
And maybe the biggest one, don't fear what they fear. Don't get caught up in their anxieties and dreads.
It forces a choice about your source of reality, your source of fear. The text says point blank, it's the Lord Almighty you should treat as holy. He is the one you should fear, the one you should dread.
And his presence isn't simple. It has two sides.
Definitely. For those who do fear him properly, he's a sanctuary, a safe place.
But for others, for both houses of Israel, for the people in Jerusalem,
He becomes a stumbling stone, a rock that makes them fall, a trap, a snare.
and the result is stark. Stumbling, falling, broken, trapped, captured. A really tragic outcome for many.
Yeah. But contrasted with that, there's this little note of faithfulness, isn't there? About binding up the testimony, sealing the law among the disciples.
Like preserving the truth amidst the chaos, and a different posture is described.
Waiting for the Lord, trusting him, even when he seems to be hiding his face.
It mentions the speaker and his children becoming signs and symbols, living embodiments of this trust.
Which is the total opposite of what others might suggest. Like when people tell you, hey, go consult mediums and spiritists, you know, those who whisper and mutter.
Seeking guidance from the occult, basically.
Yeah. The text asks this, like, devastatingly logical question. Shouldn't a people ask their own God? Why would you consult the dead for advice for the living? It's absurd when you think about it.
And it gives the measuring stick for truth right there.
To the law and to the testimony. That's the standard.
If what you're hearing doesn't line up with God's revealed word,
Then there's no light of dawn in it. No truth.
and the consequence of choosing darkness.
It's bleak.
Utterly. Distress, hunger, roaming, rage, cursing leaders, cursing God, looking up, looking down, seeing only darkness, gloom, anguish.
And finally being thrust into utter darkness. Wow.
So yeah, Isaiah 8 takes you on quite a journey. From immediate judgment signs to these huge contrasts, God's quiet way versus a destructive flood, worldly fear versus fearing God, seeking the living God versus consulting the dead.
Light versus utter darkness. It really boils down to fundamental choices.
Which leaves you with a pretty powerful question, I think.
Hmm.
Looking at this chapter, where does it tell you real security, real counsel, and real light are found, especially when things feel chaotic? And maybe just as important, what are the clear dangers of looking elsewhere?